Are you looking to have a baby and are worried about the rising cost of living, how expensive it can be? Fear not, I was just like you a few years back. I had my first baby while living in London on a very limited income. And I'm here to tell you that it's okay, it's going to be alright, and I'm going to share everything that I learned on how to have a baby on a budget in the UK. The first thing is to consider buying second-hand clothes. So my favorite place to find these was Facebook Marketplace and also local buy and save groups. If you search whatever town you're in and look for a buy and sell group on Facebook, you're bound to find one. Most baby clothes are really in good condition, especially because they grow so fast. So by the time you get them from someone who's probably used them only once, especially for the 0 to 6 months, that's the best time, because usually after the 6 months babies start eating, they start getting more stained, it gets a bit more harder. But when you're searching in the filters, make sure you put used like new or used good condition, so that way you're able to get better quality looking clothes. I also advise looking for clothes that are from a smoke-free and pet-free home. Initially I felt so bad because I felt like, oh, I wanted to buy brand new clothes but I couldn't afford it. But actually when the kids come, when the baby comes, they go through clothes so fast it don't even matter. With my second, I could now afford to buy brand new clothes, but I didn't because I had had that experience, and I'm glad I did not, because within like 2 months she had outgrown the 0 to 3 months. If you want to buy brand new clothes, and maybe you need like a few of those, because I also remember I wanted at least one brand new clothes, so I'll consider buying multi-packs. Supermarkets like Asda, so their George brand, has clothes and they sell multi-packs, so they can sell like a bunch of maybe onesies, sleep suits at a much affordable price than if you buy a single item at a time. Primark Baby also has good quality clothes, guys. Unlike a lot of Primark clothes aren't the best quality, but for the baby section a lot of them are really good, so do consider them. But consider the multi-packs, so that is like if it's so many onesies or so many like muslin clothes, it's better to buy them like a set than one by one, because one by one then it's not really much cheaper. Baby sales, do consider looking for baby sales. There's always a baby sale going on somewhere, usually in supermarkets, online. In my second pregnancy, Mothercare was closing down. They had a closing down sale and they were selling so many things at a good price. If you find a sale, you're more likely to find items that are very good quality and even brand new at the same price as buying second hand. So consider that and be on the lookout for sales. In terms of clothes, again, make sure you're buying mostly baby girls and onesies, especially for 0 to 3 months. So I bought a bundle of clothes from some lady and it was like £40 for a bunch of so many clothes from 0 to 3 months. There were so many dresses, tops, skirts, leggings, shoes even, which were completely unnecessary, because the first 3 or even 6 months just goes through like a blur. All you need is onesies and sleep suits, because really babies, all they're doing is just sleeping. They wake up, feed, sleep, repeat. So you don't need too many of those like fancy clothes. Consider charity shops for second-hand equipment. So for instance, baby monitors, sterilizers, and also baggies. A baggie and a pram, so the entire system can be really expensive, can go as high as like £1,000 brand new, and I feel like that is not necessary at all. And also if you're considering buying the entire set that comes with, so there's a push chair, and then there's this other one that the baby sleeps in, I forget what it's called, and then there's also the car seat. So really what's more important is the car seat and also the push chair. The one that they sleep in, which I'll put a picture because I've forgotten what it's called, really is not that necessary, because first of all it's only for 0 to 6 months, or as far as the baby is still lying flat. As soon as they sit up, it's necessary. So now if you buy the whole entire thing and it's just for only 6 months, really you can really manage without it. So if you're having a tight budget, then consider skipping out that, and also buy the individual bits and not like a whole set, and buy them ideally from like a charity shop where you can get good deals. There's also baby banks you can consider, guys. So there's 2 of them that I know. One is called 10 Little Toes and another one is called the Oasis. I felt really sad having to go to a baby bank at some point because I just couldn't afford it. But the thing is, guys, if that's where you are in life, then it's okay. Just go to the baby bank and then you get everything for free. Whatever you need will be for free. So I had to do that at some point when life was really tough, and then when I finished using the items, you take them back. So even now when my daughters outgrow a lot of their things, I take them to the baby banks. So you find really good products like for free basically, and if you feel like maybe life is so hard you really cannot afford it, then just go and get stuff from there, guys. You can get beds, bedding, clothes, anything. toys, even whatever you can think about, consider a baby bank. For the car seats, consider getting a car seat that's for 0 to 3. So that is for stages 0 to 3, which is adjustable. So those ones that you can get for only the newborn period, then there's for the next period and the next, but then there's also those that you can actually get that can be adjustable and extendable for a longer period of time. Do consider that. My next tip is to breastfeed. So breastfeeding is better than formula feeding if you're able to. There's obviously going to be times where maybe you're not able to, and so you have to use formula. I had to use formula at times, and so in those cases, then go ahead and use a formula. But if you can't, do consider breastfeeding. It can be really tough in the beginning, but just persevere and it will get easier with time. If you do end up using formula, then consider a supermarket's own brand of formula. So for me, at some point I had to use formula because I went back to school after just 1 month and the breast milk supply couldn't keep up, so I had to start supplementing with formula. Supermarket's own brand of formula is actually the same ingredients as some of these brand names, so do consider that. So initially I'd only heard of Aptamil, Cow and Get, but these can be really expensive, especially if you're on a tight budget. So although the other thing to consider is that you never know how much the baby will like it or what they'll take. For my eldest, when I started using the formula, she at some point only wanted pre-made formula. So even the powdered formula, if you buy that and mix it for her, she wouldn't take it, but then she'd want the pre-made one. So you never know with these babies, but in case your baby doesn't mind, consider it as well. So my final tip is to not buy too much stuff before the baby arrives. First of all, you don't know what's going to happen when they come. You don't know if you're going to use a breast pump. So for instance, I did not buy breast pumps before having the baby, and then when I went to hospital in the beginning, actually because I was admitted for a really long time and I had to use the hospital grade pump in hospital, and I ended up having to buy a breast pump. But the hospitals also have a facility to rent, depending on your hospital, but some of them actually have a facility to rent the pump out for you. You can also buy a second-hand one. And then in terms of bottles, because I had to use bottles at some point, you can't buy too many because I bought so many bottles, and then when the baby comes, they start rejecting like everything. So my tip is to not buy too much stuff before the baby comes. Remember that even when the baby comes, shops are still going to be open. I know there's this nesting feeling that you have where you want to prepare everything, buy everything, be super prepared, but try not to overdo it. Just buy a few things and then you see how you get on. Of course, prepare the money as much as you can and save and be ready, but then also don't buy too much stuff before. Are you a doctor mommy who still has exams on top of all this and is wondering how you're going to be able to survive doing all the exams and having a baby? Then watch this video here where I explain how to pass exams as a busy mom.